Good day, everyone. I am El Martin Celias, student of BEC Agronomy. So, in this video presentation, I'm going to present to you about agricultural economics and marketing. So, economics defined for economists how human beings satisfy their material needs and wants from the resources available. It is a science of choice, the science that explains the choices we make and how those choices change as we cope with scarcity. For businesses, it is study of principles and policies. It is concerned with the efficient use of resources to produce products to satisfy human wants. It is comes from the Greek word oikonomia, management of the household. Oikos means house and nomos means laws. It stem out from the two realities. So first, the limited resources available, and the second, unlimited needs. The study of how man and society, with or without the use of money, employ scarce productive resources to produce various commodities over time and distribute them for consumption now and in the future among the various people and groups in society. So, the three elements of economic perspective. So these are scarcity. The basic concept related to scarcity is choice, trade-off, opportunity cost. Second, rational behavior. And last one is marginalism. Foundation of economics. We have limited resources and we have unlimited wants. Factors of production. Scarce resources, classified as property resources and human resources. So, land refers to all natural resources, all free gifts of nature. Capital or investment goods refers to all manufactured aids to production. Labor refers to all man's physical and mental talents usable in the production. Numeration per labor resource is called wage or salary. Entrepreneurial ability, entrepreneurship. Unlimited needs and wants. So first, wants, these are the necessities or luxuries. And about the needs, basic necessities for survival. Economic theories, a set of definition that clearly defines the variables to be used. A set of assumption about the behavior of variables. Prediction that are deduced from the assumption of theory and can be tested against actual empirical observation. So, methodology in analyzing economic problems. Economic is based upon the facts concerning the activities in individuals and institutions in producing, changing, and consuming goods and services. The task of descriptive economics is the gathering of those economic facts that are relevant to a particular problem or a specific segment of the economy. So these facts are then studied, arranged, and generalized upon. The resulting generalization is called principles, theory, or models. The derivation of these principles is the test of economic theory. Characteristics of economic principles. So these are characteristics. First, there are generalization and such as subject to exemption. There are models of reality and are therefore abstract. May take the form of verbal statements, numerical tables, and mathematical equation or graphs. Valuable as predictive devices serve as basis for the formulation of economic policy designed to solve the problems and control undesirable events. Macro versus microeconomics. So macroeconomics is the study of economy as a whole. So example, the GDP grows by 5% and the unemployment rate reaches as high as 10%. So microeconomics is the study of activity in individual market. So these are the example. BMEG increases the prices of their hog concentrates. THEFCO laid off all 50% of their workers. Agriculturals Agricultural economics. It is an applied science primarily concerned with the solution of economic problems in agriculture. It is also concerned with the identification, description, and classification of economic problems in agricultural in order to solve them. Such problems include financing, production, and marketing. Positive versus normative economics. So positive economics, it deals with what the economy is actually like. So there are example, the economy grows as 2 and 2.6% per year. Our planet is warming because of increased carbon dioxide buildup in the air. The price of corn is 10 pesos per kilo. And normative economics deals with value judgments about the economy should be like. So there are example, the economy should grow faster. It was too hot today. The price ought to be high. These advantages of economic theories are principle. So, loaded terminology, definition, fallacy of composition, what is true to individual is true to all, or what is true to a part is true to a whole. Causation fallacies, or post hoc ergo propter, hoc after this, therefore, because of this. Economic goals. So first, common economic goals: full employment, price stability, economic freedom, economic security, equitable distribution of income, economic efficiency, balance of trade. Second is employment and efficiency. So full employment and full production. Two types of efficiency. One is productive efficiency and second, allocative efficiency. And the third is production possibilities curve. This is the graphical presentation of maximum outputs that can be produced with available inputs. It shows the varying amounts of two types of output that can be produced in relation to that can be produced by the fixed amount of resources. So these are the production possibilities table. So assumptions, full employment, and productive efficiency, fixed resources, fixed technology, two goods or products. So these are the graphic, the PPC. So economic ideologies of nations. First, basic economic problems. So first is scarcity, not having enough resources to produce all things people would like to have. Fundamental economic question are formulated. So these are the question: was what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce. And the second is economic systems. So there are three things wherein the economies of world differ, and these are: first, level of private or public ownership, focus of planning, extent of public or private decision making. So economic system: traditional or subsistence economy, capitalism or market economy, free enterprise, and third, command economy, communism, fascism, socialism. So traditional or subsistence economy. This is the earliest form of economic system. All economic activities in this system are accomplished outside the market. Each family takes care of its own economic needs, no money, banking activities, and trade. Only the barter system is practiced as a form of exchange or trade. Traditions decides what the people do for a living and how their work will be performed. Capitalism or market economy, free enterprise, laissez-faire. So in this system, the means of production is owned and controlled by private individuals or groups. For this economic system to work, the following factors should be considered. So there are 7. private property, freedom of enterprise, freedom of choice, self-interest, competition, markets, and prices, and last one is limited government. So these are the circular flow model. So resources market, household, product markets, and business firms. So these are the uh, flow of model. So command economy, communism. So this system, the economic decisions are made by the government. So this system is also known as socialist, authoritarian, or centralized economy. So fascism. This economic system is more easily associated with political regimes in which power is centered largely on a strong one man. Dictatorship, or in any case, a one party dictatorship. Socialism. In this system, the government owns the and operates many of the nation's major industries such as bank, airlines, railroads, and power plants, but allows individuals to own other business, including stores, farms, and factories. Today, when socialism is mentioned, it is often to refer to mixed economic systems that have emerged in Western Europe. The term mixed refers to the mixture of regulated capitalism and socialistic version of communism and the sense of public ownership of the means of production. Demand and supply. Demand Demand is defined as schedule which shows the various demands of products. Demand curve is the illustration of the relationship between various quantities. Market demand is the sum of all individuals' demands. Quantity demanded of a good or services is the amount of good or service that customers plan to buy during a specific period of time. Law of demand. There is an inverse relationship between prices and quantity demanded. Explanations of the law of demand. Income effect. Example, 100 pesos budget when the price of NFE rice increases from 25 per kilo to 35 kilo. The number of kilos that can be brought decreases from 4 kilos into 3 kilos. Substitutions effect. Example, when the price of pork increases, customers tend to optimize for fish or vegetables which are relatively cheaper. Determinants of demand. Factor that shift the demand curve. So taste and preferences, change in number of buyers or population, change in income, change in price of related goods, expected future prices. So these are an increase in demand issues by shift our entire demand curve to the right. So these are the decrease in demands. Equilibrium. The market equilibrium price and quantity is determined by the interaction or of supply and demand. Market equilibrium quantity. Quantity applied and quantity demanded are equal. Market equilibrium price. It is the price that clears the market. In the mathematical equation, market equilibrium, it shows as QD and Q is, where QD is the quantity demand and Q is the quantity supplied. So these are the graph shows the surplus occurs when supplies is greater than demands, and shortage occurs when demand is greater than supply. So elasticity is used to quantify the response in one variable when another variation changes. So these are the formula below. Price elasticity of demand. So these are the formula. AD exchange in QD, where AD price elasticity of demand percent exchange in the prices. So these are the formula. So this is the extension of the formula that shows as the total revenue test. So determinants of price elasticity of demand. Substitutability. The more substitute the product is, the more elastic the price elasticity of demand. The closer the substitutes, the more elastic. The proportion of income spent on the good and service. The larger the product lies in one's total budget, example curve, the more elastic its price elasticity of demand. Necessity. Luxury products are more elastic than basic necessities. Adjustment time. The longer the time elapsed since the price change, the more elastic is demand. So price elasticity of supply. The ratio of percentage changes in quantity supply of the product producer are willing to sell in response to a percentage change in a price along a given supply curve. So these are the formula and determinants of price elasticity of supply. So A, substitutability of resource, adjustment time frame of supply decision. So these are income elasticity of demand. Macroeconomics, so customers, theory, and choices. So utility cardinal approach. Utility is measure the terms of utils and is additives. So in differ curves analysis, ordinal approach, the difference curve shows all combinations of two products A and B which B yield in the same total satisfaction or total utility to a customer. Characteristic of difference curve. So A, convex to the origin, downward sloping, does not intersect. So marginal rates of substitutions shows the rate at which customers will substitute one of the other, say X or Y, to remain equally satisfied. It is the slope of difference curve. So the graph, the customers' equilibrium positions. So the customer's equilibrium position is the point where the budget line is tangent to the indifference curve. So the price of good changes the customer in the effect in two ways. So first, substitution of effect and income effect. So these are the theory of production. Production concept. Production is the process of creation of goods and services to satisfy human wants. It is the process or transformation of two or more inputs that into one or more products or outputs. Inputs, resources are the means of ingredients used to produce product. Example, land, labor, fertilizer, chemicals, and etc. Production function shows the maximum quantity of commodity that can be produced per unit of time to each of a set of alternative inputs when the best production techniques available are used. So these are the graph, the relationship production, productivity, and cost curve. So production with two variable input, long run. So isoquants analogous with indifferent curves shows the different combination of two inputs, says labor L and capital is key, which a firm can be produce a specific quantity of output. So these are the characteristics of isoquants. So negative slopes convex to the origin, never cruise, high isoquants refer to higher quantity of inputs and lower ones means lower output. So the marginal rate of technical substitution of labor per capital refers to the amount of key that a firm can give up by increasing the number of L used by one unit and still remain in the same outputs. So producer equilibrium. So these are the formula and expansion path. If the firm changes its total outlay while the prices of output L and K held constant, the firm isocost shifts parallel to itself up if total outlay is increased, and down if total outlay is increased. Production possibilities for economy. When two resources, L and K, are used to produce two products, X and Y, some distributions of the resources between two uses will be more efficient than others. So, Pareto optimal distribution, one of which increase in output of one good take place, only the output of the other is decreased. So cost of production, short run total cost. Opportunity cost are cost of missed opportunity or sacrifice alternatives, total cost, TC, TFC, and TVC. So these are the formulas: total fixed cost, short run units cost, and the formulas. So the geometry of per unit cost. So these are the formula that choose the geometry curves, cost curves. Long run cost curves. The long run average cost, LEC. The curve shows the minimum per unit cost of producing each level of output when any desired scales of plant can be built. The long run marginal cost, LMC, measure the range and the long run total cost, LTC, change the per unit change in output. Costs are also classified into private and social costs. Private costs are the explicit and implicit opportunities costs incurred by individuals and firms in the process of producing goods and services. Social costs, these are the costs incurred by society as whole. Social costs are higher than private cost production. Price and input determination. So first, under pure competition, and under pure competition, total approach and marginal approach. Under pure competition, total approach. So in order to have profit, produce should be done only when total revenue exceeds total cost. So TR greater than TC, profit maximization, and TR is greater than TC but not loss is TVC, loss minimization, and TR is less than TC, net loss is TVC shutdown. So these are the MRMC rules. So, and also, there are three characteristics of MR and MC rules. Applied only if producing is preferable than shutting down. Accurate guide to profit maximization for all firms in any market. When applied to pure competition, the rule can be written as P equal MR. Can also be applied to cost minimization provided that market prices exceeds minimum average variable cost. Principles of input substitution and enterprise combination. Two approaches and determine in the list cost combination. So letter A is total cost approach combination of output A and B must be computed for the total cost. And these are the formula. And B is marginal approach. Estimate the ratio. The ratio is referred to as marginal rate of technical substitution. So this formula below. Second, under pure monopoly. So the D and the MR schedules which is by a monopolist is positive as long as the D curve is elastic. And in figure 24, when D is elastic, reduction in P will cause TR to increase the MR is positive. When D has unitary elastic demand, a fall in price leaves TR exchange, so MR is zero. So these are the short run equilibrium under the monopoly total approach, and these are marginal approach. Macroeconomics is concerned with performance of economy as a whole or with large sectors of it, such as government, business, firms, and households. So in 1930s, Great Depression of U.S. ceremony. 1936, John Maynard Keynes published the book The General Theory of Employment, Interest, and Money. After the World War II, 1950s, the government tried to use their power in stimulating ceremony, economy to manage business cycle and attain desired output and employment. 1960s, Walter Hiller, chair of the Council of Economic Advisor, coined the term fine-tuning. Fine-tuning refers to the government's role in regulating inflation and unemployment. And 1970s, dramatic fluctuations in employment output and inflation and stagflation, when the overall price level rises rapidly during the periods of recession or high and persistent unemployment stagnation. Competition of the macro economy, the private sector. Transfer payment are cash payment made by the government to people who do not supply goods, services, or labor in exchange this payment. SSS benefits veterans and welfare benefits. So three market arenas: goods and services market, labor markets, and money or financial markets. National income accounting. So first, it allows us to keep a finger on economic pulse of the nation by comparing national income accounts over a number of years. The third, information supplied by natural income accounts provide the basis for formulating and applying public policies to improve the performance of economy. GNP and GDP, two ways of measuring economy's output: gross national products, GNP, and gross domestic product, GDP. Some methods to compute national product or output. Income or allocation approach. It defines a new term, national income, as factor cost, NI, as the sum of all factor payments received by the owners of productive services. So these are the formula below: the wages and salaries, rental payments, and interest payments, or profit. Double counting. To measure total output accurately, all final goods and services produced in a given year must be counted only once. Only the sale of final goods is included and the sale of intermediate goods is excluded because of it involves double counting. So the non-productive transfer transaction included in GNP and GDP. So pure financial transactions, second-hand sale, capital gains and losses, illegal activities. So real and nominal GDP and GNP. So nominal GNP and GDP, it measures the value of output in a given period in the prices of that period, or as it is sometimes put in current pesos. So to adjust and get the real GNP and GDP value. So select the base year as benchmark. Determine the price index formula. And the third one is divide nominal GNP and GDP by CPI in decimal form, Customers Prices Index. So these are the problems of GNP and GDP measurement. And other social accounts: net national products, national income, personal income, and disposable income. Macroeconomic equilibrium. So macroeconomic equation. So these are the formula. If the economy is lost, does not export products. If we assume an economy with no government and no external relation. So we're Y, national income, C, aggregation assumption, and I, aggregate investment. Income and assumptions, theory of consumptions. Absolutely income theory, consumption is the function of current level of income. So relative income theory, consumption is function to what one is accustomed to: permanent income theory. Consumption is a function or permanent income. The consumption function. The function is the principal building block in the multiplier analysis. So there are direct relationship between consumption and disposable income. The consumption function can be written as, so the marginal propensity of consume and the average propensity to consume. Factor affecting the level of aggregate consumption. So taste and preference, current and expected process, the viability of goods, the advertising, interest rate, credit, expected future earnings, someone else, expenditure patterns, liquid assets, dates, real wealth, availability of consumer installment, income and savings. So the savings action can be written as, so these are the formula, and the marginal proper propensity to save, the average of propensity to save, and the MPC and MPS. Income and investment. Determinants of net investment spending. The expected rate of net profit. If the investment will generate more, higher profit, greater investment occurs. Interest rate. If the expected net profit is higher than the interest rate, investment increase and total demand for investment goods increases. So sample income determination. The two sector economy, it refers to the unspent income. These can be the indicate as y equals c plus s. Rearranging the equation, we have y minus c equals I, y minus c equals s. Therefore, is equal I. Multiplier refers to the ratio of change in the equilibrium level of output to change in some autonomous variable planned investment. So these are the example. Suppose planned investment an increase from 25 pesos uh, B to 50B and stay at 50B if equilibrium exists at 25B, and increase for 25B will cause the disequilibrium. That is why Fy is equal to C plus this 25. Macroeconomic concerns. So the business cycle. So the basis of business cycles are: peak economy is at full employment and national output is very close to capacity, prices level is likely to be rising. Recession. Recession. Output and employment both decline, price tend to be inflexible or sticky in a downward direction. The price level is likely to fall only if the recession is severe and prolonged. Depression. True. Output and employment bottom out of their lowest level. Recovery expansion. The economy's level of output and employment expand toward full employments. Macroeconomic problems. Unemployment and inflation. So types of employment: unemployment, frictional employment, structural, cyclical, and seasonal. And measure of unemployment, the population is divided into three. So people underage, not in the labor force, people who are potential worker, but for some reason refuse to work, the labor force. Inflation, deflation, and disinflation. So inflation is a phenomenon of rising prices of goods and of the factors of production. The price increase may vary for different factors in goods depending on supply and demand and other economic factors. Traditional inflation source is excess demand. Sustained inflation is a phenomenon of increasing overall level of price that continues over a significant period of time. Hyperinflation is a period of very rapid increase in the overall price level. Inflation is the falling of general level of prices. It is also defined as sustained decline in the average of level prices. Disinflation is a rising general level of price with negative inflation rate. In other words, increase of price that increase rate. Causes of inflation. So letter A, demand pull inflation. Letter B, cost push inflation or administered price or seller inflation or supply side inflation. So there are three wage push inflation. These are caused by the increase of labor wages and profit push inflation, increase the price due to increase the target profit. A commodity inflation due to increases in prices of raw materials, fuels, and machine spare parts. And last one is structural inflation, demand shift inflation. So redistribution effects of inflation. Affects money income group. These are inflation redistributes real income away from fixed income receiver. And B among savers. As prices rise, the real value of purchasing power of customers decline. So that saving deteriorate debtors and creditors. Inflation tends to benefit debtors. These are the borrowers because each peso will now buy lesser amount of goods services and therefore they pay less due to cheap peso. It tends also to penalize creditors for the received payments with lesser purchasing power. So aggregate demand and aggregate supply. So aggregate demand, a schedule or a curve that shows the amounts of real output that buyers collective desire to purchase at each possible price level. So three effect of price level changes: real balance effect, wealth effect, interest rate effect, and foreign purchase effect. So there are also four factors affecting aggregate demand: changes in customer spending, change in investing spending, change in government spending, and change in net export spending. Aggregate supply, schedule or curve showing the level of real domestic output that firms will produce at each price level. So there are three aggregate supply curve distinct segments or reaches. So horizontal range, intermediate, upsloping range, and vertical range. And factors that affect aggregate supply, change in output price. So these are the domestic resources availability, land, labor, capital, entrepreneurial ability, price or imported resources, and market power. Second, change in productivity, and third, change in legal institution environment. Fiscal policy. So, in 1930s, Keynes argued that fiscal policy could and should be used to stabilize the level of output and employment in economy. The fiscal system is collective term of combination operation of public expedition, taxation, and debt. Fiscal policy is term used to refer to manipulation of public government spending and tax collection and purchase achieve full employment and non-inflationary level of net national product and etc. Component of national budget. So there are five: total revenue, taxes and income, taxes and national trade, exercise and sale taxes, other taxes, non-tax revenue, and current operation expenditures, personal services, maintenance, interest transfer to corporation, allotment, local government. And the third, capital outlay, infrastructure, other capital, capitalization, equity, contribution, and net lending. Overall deficit, foreign borrowing, net borrowing from banking system, other domestic borrowing, and the last one, current operations surplus. Effect of changes in level of government purchase. Multiplier measure that the change is equivalent level of income due to the change in aggregate expenditures. Money and money supply. Money is fundamental in function of economic major function. So a unit of value, a medium of exchange, a standard of deferred payment, and four is a store of value. Economists have invented for convenient several definitions of money. These are general purpose money or M1 or transaction money, broad money or M2 or near monies, commodity monies are those items used as money that only have or instrin- intrinsic value in some other use. So fiat money or token monies. So these are monies or items designed as money that are intrinsically worthless. Legal tender refer to the money that the government has required to be accepted as settlement of debts. Commercial banking. The control of money supply is vested in monetary authority known as the central bank. June 15, 1948, it was approved and opened on January 3, 1949. A commercial bank is a business institution that accepts, deposit, and lends to borrowers. National bank is a bank chartered by the national government. Locate or state bank is a bank chartered by local or state governments. So the Philippine financial system, money supply, MS, nominal money supply, real money supply, and theories on demand for money. The crude quantity theory of money supply states that prices are a direct proportion of the supply money. This is maybe written as these are the formula below. So the different demands of money. Transactional demand of money, precautionary demand for money, speculative demand for money. It is the inversely related to interest rate. And monetary policy applies to the policy of increase or decrease the nation's monetary supply. So expansionary monetary policy, an increase in money supply aims or increasing aggregate output or income. Contractionary monetary policy, and decrease in money supply aim to decrease aggregate output in income. So international economics, trade surplus in situation when the country export more than and its imports. Trade deficit is situation when the country's exports more than it exports. Economic basis for trade, comparative advantage. So corn laws refer to the tariffs, subsidies, and restrictions enacted by the British Parliament, Paria, Parliaments in early 19th century to discourage imports and encourage export of grains. So policies of political economics and taxation. David Ricardo, 1817, contains a theory of comparative advantage. Absolute advantage is the advantage in production of products enjoyed by one country over the national when it uses fewer resources to produce the product than the other country does. Comparative advantage is the advantage in production of product enjoyed by one country over another when that products can be produced at lower cost in terms of other goods than it could be in another country. Law of comparative advantage. So, year 1817, these are the David Ricardo, the theory of comparative cost, and also the law of comparative advantage state that a country has comparative advantage in producing a good if the opportunity cost producing the good in terms of other good is lower in that country than it is the other countries. Terms of trade is a ratio trade at which a country can trade domestic products for imported products. Exchange rates refer to a ratio which two currencies and traded for each other. So these are the sources of comparative advantage. Trade barriers. Tariff refers to a tax on imported goods. Export subsidies refer to the government payments made to domestic firms to encourage export. Dumping refers to a situation when a firm or industry sells product on the world market at prices below the cost of production. Quotas refer to a limit on the quantity imports. GATT or URWTO. GATT stands for General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. It was formed in 1947 in Geneva, initially with 23 countries in attendance to promote multilateral cooperation in trade and investment. So, these are through the following: tariffs of quantities restriction, reduction of tariffs on all agricultural products, reduction of domestic price, subsidies, reduction of export subsidies, market access commitments, and harmonization of sanitary and phytosanitary measures. So the UR, the eighth and most ambitious round of GATT negotiations, it seeks to expand world trade based on comparative advantage in four ways. So these are the four ways: wider and deeper tariffs cut, a stronger and more effective cut, eliminating exceptions to GATT's universal coverage of goods, expanding coverage and make more relevant to the global trader environment. So WTO stands for World Trade Organization, and tariffs are duties, taxes levied on imported goods, either as a source of revenue for government to protect the local industries and sectors against import competitions from the rest of the world. So these are the types of tariffs. So specific tariffs are levied by the fixed charge for each unit of goods imported regardless of the value. And ad valorem tariffs are taxes exposed as a fraction of value of imported goods. Producer surplus refer to the gain derived by producer as a measure by the difference between the price he is willing to sell, dispose his product, and accrual price to accrual price he received from the actual sale. Consumer surplus measure to the amount of a consumer gains from the purchase by difference between the price he is willing to pay and what he actually pays for the products. So what are the two efficiency losses to the national welfare of a tariff? Production distortion loss. Consumption distortion loss. What is the tariff reduction? Tariff reduction in agricultural products is one of the commitments under the final act of UR, that is, for industrialized countries. Tariffs must be reduced by 36% within 6 years from the year of GATT implementation. For developing countries, tariff reducing should be 24% within 10 years. And for the less developed countries, they are exempted from the tariff reductions. Balance of payments, or BOP. Foreign exchange refer to all countries' currencies other than domestic currency of a country. Balance of payments is a detailed record for composition of the current account balance and the many transactions that finance it. Krugman and Ausfield 2000. Balance of payments accounts as a debit and is a given negative sign. Result from receipt from the foreigners is entered as a credit and a given positive sign. Two types of accounts and national BOP records. So first, current account. Components of export and imports and exports. Merchandise trade, investment income, other service, transfer payments. And second one is capital account. Assets consist partly of tangible producer and consumer durable goods such as land and natural resources. So these are the two exchange rate system. Floating exchange rate is a system is free from arbitrary control and government interventions. And two, fixed exchange rate is a system by which a government intervenes in the foreign exchange market to supply currency value within the predetermined limit. And depreciation and devaluation have physically the same meaning. We both refer to the increase and exchange rate of decrease in the value of the domestic currency relative to the foreign currency. The only difference is that depreciation result from the interplay of market force which occurs under the flexible changes rate regime, while devaluation results from deliberate action of monetary authority which occurs under the fixed of changes exchange rate regime. Asian Free Trade Agreements (EFTA) was formulated on January 1992 and Singapore Summit. It was formalized through signing the Common Effect Protein Preferential Tariff. So agricultural and economic growth. So economic growth is an increase in the total output of goods and services over time. So these are the graph below. So the essential for growth potential is ability, human resources, natural resources, technological capital formulation. So economic development, it implies both more output and changes in the technical and institutional arrangements by which output is produced and distributed. So these are the strategy for economic growth and development. A major provide for food and non-food needs for growing population. Source of capital for development of other sectors such as industrial and manufacturing. Provide for doctor direct increases a rural welfare associated with improvements in production, income, and employments. So these are the following must be considered. Increase agricultural productivity. A. Agroecological approaches. B. Issues regarding to the use of information and communication technology, ICT, to improve the production of efficiency. And C. Use of modern biotechnology to ensure food security. Strategies proposed that will trigger growth and economic development as follows. Short-term and long-term solution in terms of government interventions and addressing problem in the entire food system. Government interventions, the rural area agriculture-based employment orientation development strategy, or RAEDS by Mellor 1980. So these are the components. So definition of terms. Agriculture may be simply defined as the partly an art and science and also business with all parts of interacting in cultivation of crops, including tree crops, and the raising of livestock and fish, either for direct consumption as food or for sale of experts. Sustainable Development, a World Commission on Environments and Developments, 1987, defined as a development strategy that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. There are actually four objectives of the sustainable future that must be met. A. Social progress with recognize the needs of everyone. B. Effective protection of environment. And C is prudent use of natural resources. And the last one is maintenance of high and stable levels of economic growth and employment. Sustainable agriculture is defined as a strategy of improving the soil's natural capability to nurture plant life through the constant recycling of nutrients and the maintenance of soil fertility, moisture, and microbial conditions. Precision farming is an advanced and more sophisticated technology in farming. The intensive and extensive agriculture. Intensive agriculture, a system of crop grain product where maximum outputs and apply to a given area in order to produce maximum output. Extensive agriculture, a system of crop or green production where is the large area is utilized with the application of minimum inputs which result a smaller amount of added output or yield. economies of scale of mass production refer to the factor that drives average cost curve downward as the firm operation expands. Other theories of economic development: Ricardian theory, Adam-Smith theory, neocolonialism, Waltz tube theory, vicious cycle of models. Agricultural market. Basic concept of market. Market is an organizational function and a set of progress for creating, communicating, and delivering a value to customers and for managing customers' relationship in way that benefit the organization and its stakeholders. Agricultural marketing is a series of services involved in moving products that point of production to the point of consumption. Three elements of agri-marketing definition. So these are the service is a function form performed on or for products that alter its form, time, place, and position characteristic. Point of production, point of first sale, point of consumption, point of last sale. For utilities of marketing. Form utility, place utility, time utility, and position utility. Problem areas of agricultural marketing. Characteristics of product, number of producers, characteristic of consumers, reflecting the demands of consumers, the need of increased marketing efficiency. Market, it refers to the group, buyers and seller with facilities for trading with each other. It is a place where buyer and seller meet to exchange goods or services. Agricultural marketing system. It is an institutional organization of all activities necessary to expand and distribute agricultural production. Components of agricultural marketing. So, producer subsystem, channel subsystem, flow subsystem, functional subsystem, consumer subsystem, and environmental subsystem. Approaches to the study of agricultural marketing. So, 1. Commodity approach, product-oriented, institutional approach. There are middlemen, classification of middlemen. So, classification of middlemen, merchandise middleman, contract buyer, agent broker, speculative middleman is also known as a trader, sculptors, or spreaders, and processors first to alter raw agricultural commodities, and facilitative organization. And the third one is functional approach. So, functional are classified as follow: exchange function activities, physical function, transportation activities, and the third is facilitating function, and the third one is market structure. Market models: pure competitive, absolutely monopoly, ali, oligopoly, monopolistic competition, oligopsony, monopsony, market products, behavior or pattern. Market performance. So these are the following. So behavioral approach. So in this approach, four major types of problem with their associated behavioral system can be identified as follow. So input, output system, power system, communication system, and communication system. So marketing margins and cost. Marketing margins refer to the difference between prices at different levels of marketing system. Marketing margins component. So A, return to the factor of production, return to the agencies involved, and two types of margins: absolutely constant margin and percentage margin, and marketing markup. Breakdown of consumers peso. Marketing makes 4 P's of marketing. So marketing mix strategies consists 4 parts: product strategy, pricing strategy, place or distributing strategy, and promoting strategy. Nowadays, expanded into 7 P's marketing. Suitable marketing strategy mix and service companies. So, A. Product strategies. Anything offered to sale, attention, and acquisition, it can be a good or services. So agribusiness products are categorized into 3 groups: raw or fresh agricultural products, semi-processed agricultural products, and processed products. So these are the classification according to durability: durable goods, non-durable goods, and services. Classification according to the use: consumer goods, industrial goods, material parts or goods, and enter the manufacturer products component, capital, items, supplies, and business services. So products mix refer to the number of products at firm handling. The firm's products mix may describe wide, deep, and consistent. So a product line, a series of relative products. Brand, function of brand. Brands makes product identification easier. They distinguish one product from another so that imitation can be prevented. They are also used to emphasize a certain quality level and facilities, setting difference price for each other. They make handling easier because trader can sort the products they are carrying by hand. Brand quantity, brand awareness, and brand image, and the last one is packaging. Label, three types of label: brand label, grade label, and description label. So product life cycle stage. So introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. So pricing strategy, the rule of price. Tell the producer what and how much to produce, perform internal rationing and allocating function with each producing farm, guides product to the channel of trades, rations, and goods and service to those who demand the most. List price is the published price at which the manufacturing would like to produce to sell. So these are the manufacturer pricing strategies: skimming the market, moving down the demand curve, penetration pricing, preemptive pricing, extinction pricing, formula pricing, and tie-in pricing. Retailers pricing strategy: competitive pricing, psychological pricing, unit pricing, and price lining, especially special pricing. So price determination and price discovery. So price determination refers to the process of getting the prices of the products with interaction of demand and supply. Price discovering refers to the process of buying and selling and haggling for price. So these are the price behavior over time: seasonal price variations, annual price variation, trend, cyclical price variation, random, irregular movements. So these are the place channels. So distribution means delivering the products or right time. Market channel refers to the alternative routes by which products flow from the producer to consumers. Function of market channel. So there are 3: transactional, logistical, and facilitating. So channel markets. So there are 5 following factors: nature of products, nature of market, cost involved in using each channel, investment required, potential net profit from sale, and the wholesaling. So there are 3 types of full service merchant wholesalers: general merchandise, specialty merchandise, rack jobber wholesale. And also 3 types of limited service merchandise: cash and carry wholesale, truck wholesaler, sealer or truck jobber or wagon jobber, drop shippers or desk jobber or carload wholesaler. And there are also 3 other terms related to wholesaler: industrial distribution, jobbers, car lot receiver. And so, types of major retailer: specialty store, department store, supermarket, convenience store, off-price retailer, superstore, category, killer, combination store, hypermarket, catalogs, showroom, gourmet food store. Promotion strategy. So it makes the buyer aware of alternative goods and services that exist. Promotions shorter the distance between the market and the manufacturer by keeping buyer well informed about the different products. Promotion also keep regulate the level and timing of demands. Promotion methods: advertising, personal selling, sales promotion, publicity. So push selling. Manufacturer uses strong personal selling and sales promotion effort directed at market channel middleman. Pull selling. Manufacturer uses strong personal selling and sell promotion efforts directed at final consumers. So these are all the presentation, and thank you very much, and God bless.